Gareth A. Davis. They call me the veteran fight journalist from the Daily Telegraph in London, and I'm here with Shoot Media with MIESHA Tate, who's joined us in Seattle. Good evening, MIESHA.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well, you're looking good.
Thank you, you as well.
I don't know about that. First things first, it's 24 hours since Dana White presented the first women's UFC bantamweight belt to, dare I say the words, Ronda Rousey at the press conference here in Seattle. What were your immediate thoughts on seeing her receive the belt from Dana White?
Well, I was kind of questioning, I mean, does that make her the UFC champion, or does she have to fight once in the UFC first to really solidify that? I mean, what happens if she loses her first fight? Was she ever considered the UFC champion? The fact that she's carrying the belt around and all that, and I think I thought it kind of overshadowed the other guys. You know, I mean, this is their fight card or whatnot. I thought maybe it wasn't the best time to do it. But with that being said, the big picture, women are coming to the UFC. You know, whether Ronda has the belt today or tomorrow or whatever it is, I'm gunning for her either way.
Now let's cut to the chase on this. I understand that you want to clarify certain things that were said by Ronda Rousey yesterday, that you hadn't, or you'd turned down the possibility of fighting her.
Right. Yeah, it was said by Ronda, and I felt it was implied by Dana. Dana had said that Liz was the only one that stepped up and wanted the fight and wanted to take it and whatnot, and you know, excuse my language, but I don't usually talk like this, but I call bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit, and I was never offered the fight. So whether Ronda is misinformed or she's, you know, going on another one of her tangents to get publicity, is absolutely not the truth. I was never offered the fight, and you'd have to be absolutely crazy to think that I would ever turn down the opportunity to be the first women's MMA fight in the UFC and for a rematch with Ronda at the same time. I mean, you say you can't have your cake and eat it too. That would kind of be like having your cake and eating it too. So I would have taken that in a heartbeat.
Well, you're known as Cupcake, so
no pun intended.
No pun intended, exactly. So what we do know is that she will fight Liz Carmouche first of all on February the 23rd at the Honda Center in Anaheim. You haven't been approached by the UFC yet, is what you're saying?
Well, we have talked a little bit, obviously, about them developing the women's division, and you know, I would assume that I would be a part of that. But as far as being offered that specific fight, absolutely was not.
Or a contract?
Never presented to me. The contract is still something I'm not really allowed to talk about at this point. Yeah, so that's the issue at hand I'm trying to clarify. Was not ever offered to fight Ronda Rousey in the UFC at any point. So
you're specifically saying, absolutely, you want a rematch with Ronda Rousey in the UFC some point in 2013, that's what you're after? 100%.
That's exactly what, that would be ideal. You know, I did say that I wanted to take some time off after my last fight, but that doesn't mean that there's not exceptions to the rule. I mean, this is a huge opportunity, and if it had been presented to me to be a part of the UFC, they could have said, hey MIESHA, you want to be a part of the UFC? Brock Lesnar's your opponent. I would have said, yes! I want to do it, you know what I mean? It's a great opportunity.
And you'd have turned him into a tomato can.
Right, so, you know, so you know what's up.
So, Liz Carmouche, Ronda Rousey's first opponent in the UFC. You don't get to compete in the first women's fight in the UFC. I know you have, you know, some part of you regrets that. A double-sided question. How will Ronda Rousey go against Liz Carmouche? Will she be a tomato can for her? And secondly, do you think they've deliberately held back from putting you in that first fight?
I think Ronda Rousey is going to go out there and do the same thing to Liz Carmouche that she's done to everyone else in under a minute. I like Liz, it's nothing personal, but I've been in there with Ronda, I know what she feels like, and if she was able to do that to Sarah Kaufman beat Liz Carmouche pretty decisively. And not that MMA math always adds up to be the same, but from what I've seen, you know, Liz is still relatively new to the scene too, and she has a lot of growing to do, and I don't think that this is a good matchup for her, and I think that maybe they planned it to get Ronda to look her best for her UFC debut.
But the thing is, you know, you've both got huge personalities, and, you know, if they're going to make a prime time or a series about you guys, you know, these kind of things need to be built. It's part of the hype and promotion of fight sports.
Yeah.
You against Ronda in a second fight is a big fight.
Absolutely, and you know, at first I felt like it was a compliment that, you know, maybe I hadn't been considered for the first fight, because I was thinking, all right, they're thinking the big picture. It's going to be the big fight that's led up to. Both of us are going to rise in the UFC, and we're going to meet again for the grand rematch, and that's something worth taking the time to build. And then we hear, you know, I hear Ronda making accusations like she typically does and getting in the limelight and accusing me of turning that fight down, which is absolutely not the truth. And, you know, I'll call her on it right now, or, I mean, anyone that's made that claim, because the opportunity was never presented to me, and I'm absolutely not afraid to fight her. I want that second shot. But again, you know, I think the UFC is seeing when the time is right, and I'm all right with that. So,
in a sense, do you think she's delusional that you don't want to fight her, or do you think she's just trying to play with you? Is she using the fact she's in the limelight to her advantage?
I think she's actually full of herself enough to where she probably really thought that I turned that fight down right now. But I would like to deflate her ego just a little bit and let her know that that absolutely wasn't the case, and that when the opportunity presents itself, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
What about the thing you were telling me before we recorded this, that weirdly, rather like Ali and Frazier in the past, Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali never got on. They didn't like each other all the way through their lives, and they're still indelibly linked as two names who always fought each other. Tate and Rousey, Rousey and Tate, I know which way you prefer that around. You will probably be linked with each other, but I understand that not a day goes by when you don't think about Ronda Rousey, or someone reminds you in the supermarket about Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, I don't even have a choice in the matter, to be honest. You know, there's always something, whether it's through social media or just a random thought that crosses my mind, or when I'm in training, you know, thinking about, you know, Ronda. She crosses my mind every day. It's not something I really have, like I said, a choice in. But I've learned to embrace it. You know, I've learned that it's not worth hating her over, you know, and I don't hate Ronda. I think there was a point where I'd safely say I probably almost felt that way about her, but at this point, I've let it go, and I'm using all that as motivation for the rematch.
I mean, it'd be remiss of me not to ask, Ronda mentioned recently that she deliberately has a lot of sex before she fights. Can I go there with you, and, or is this a kind of taboo area?
I personally think it's kind of a taboo area. You know, I think maybe she's a little bit more open than I would like to be. You know, to me that's personal, so I definitely don't want to go there, but you know, that's typical of Ronda again too. You know, she's painting quite a vivid picture for everyone, and you know, she feels that that's going to be the kind of thing that she's noted for, remembered for, you know. Personally, I'm just take a little bit of a different stance on that.
I mean, you do smell good, and I do say that to male fighters when I'm sitting this close to them as well, by the way. So, look, one of the big things in all of this, and you kind of said in a very magnanimous way that, in some senses, you don't mind Ronda getting the limelight at the moment, because you're going to be in the limelight with her eventually, and it's putting women's MMA on the right platform, being in the UFC.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Ronda has, for me, she's kind of redefined the sport, and there are certain things that I'm very thankful for that she came along. She has absolutely recreated me and remotivated me, and so for that, you know, thank you. I do appreciate it, because you have given me drive like I never had before, and I'm at a very ambitious point in my career, and when I make that comeback, when Ronda and I fight again, it's going to be something spectacular.
And you've also, in a weird way, when you fought her the first time, you said you were very emotional when you fought her, and you've let that emotion go, and you've kind of accepted that Ronda Rousey is part of your life.
She is, and I think she forever will be. She changed my life, and I like to believe that she changed it for the better. You know, she's remotivated me, like I said, and you know, losing the title wasn't easy. But I don't feel like I've gone backwards. You know, I may not be moving forward as quickly as she is at this very moment, but I see light at the end of the tunnel, and you know, it's not over till it's over. I feel like I've lost the battle, but the war is yet to come. And so, you know, it's going to come in its due time, and when it does, I will be ready.
It's a fascinating year in prospect. Great to be joined by MIESHA Tate with Shoot Media for Yahoo. I'm Gareth A. Davis from the Daily Telegraph. MIESHA, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.